So yesterday, what did we discuss? We discussed about just how to create the Excel file, right? A simple, just uh, you know how we can create an Excel application instance, and then how we can add a workbook, right? So we have not discussed about too many steps and all. So let's start today, and then discussing in detail about how to work with Excel and all. So yesterday what we did exactly is here. First, okay, we had to create Excel application object. How do you do the Excel dot application, right? And then, so if you see here, right, when you are using a VBS editor, whenever you use Excel dot application, how we can see whether this class object is registered or not. Right side it will display automatically here. Okay, you can see Excel. When you don't have anything, the object browser, you don't have that to be Excel, right? As soon as you see set OXL equals to create object Excel dot application. As soon as you do that, you can create object. As soon as you do that, Excel will come here. That means class is registered. For some people, right? Some people, they don't get the methods like this when you are using. Okay. So if for some people it happens like that, then in such cases, what you do is, for any people, but most of the people it comes, go to tool, references, and in the references, okay, this has come already. One minute, I'll show you. Okay. So click on add in the references, tool, references, click on add, and the program ID, you select Excel dot application here. Can you say? You can see here Excel dot application. You select this, and the library path, you need to define the library path. Library path you need to go to, since it is Excel, right? Then go to Microsoft Office in the program files, and go to Office 12, or depends on what version of Excel that you have installed. Then Excel.exe you need to select. As soon as you select that, and then reference will be added here. Reference will be added, and then all the methods will be automatically populated whenever you use Excel dot application. For some people, when they are using 64-bit and all, then it may not come it may not do all the methods in the drop down. So in such cases, just add the reference. You will be able to see the methods and all. That will be easy for you. So what we are doing now, first, okay, you are creating the instance of Excel application object here. Then, as I told, by default, Excel will be running in invisible mode, hidden mode. So what you need to do is say Excel dot visible equals to true. So what you are doing here, you are making Excel object visible when it runs, then make that Excel application visible. Otherwise, by default, visible will be false. Then set O workbook. You know what is meant by workbook? The workbook is nothing but the file, Excel file. Normal application is different, and workbook. Workbook will be opened inside the application. Then there are two things here. Either you can open an existing file, or you create a new file. For now, we will deal with creating new files, and then we will go with the existing files. Then if you want to create a new file, then say in this application, whatever you have created, that application dot workbooks, then that will access the collection of workbooks. Dot add. Add is for adding a new workbook. Similarly, if you want to open an existing workbook, you have a method called open. workbook start open, to open the workbook, that means Excel file. Dot add means creating a new workbook. Then for open, you must have to provide the path, absolute path of the Excel. Whereas for dot add, you don't need to provide any absolute path. Okay, so just template is there, but I mean which template that Excel has to be created, but you don't need that also, that is optional. Okay, so first you need to add the workbook. Then as soon as you add the workbook, directly we don't write the data into workbook, right? So what we do, normally one workbook may contain sheets. By default there will be 3 sheets, right? But normally this is when you are using the 2007 version and all. But the latest version, only one sheet it comes. Okay. Then what you have to do here is, you have to select a particular sheet, in which sheet you want to write the data. Or you can also add a new sheet if you want. Say that, okay, so I don't want to work with the default sheets which are created already. I want to create a new sheet and then I want to work with that. Then in such cases, what we do, to access or to create a sheet, is a source of workbook dot worksheets. If you want to access an existing sheet, is a worksheets of, you can give it sheet name. You can provide, in case if you know the sheet name, it's not case sensitive. Sheet name is not case sensitive here. You can give in any case, no problem. But the name should match. Okay, so you can provide the name of the sheet. Or if you say that, okay, name is little lengthy and I don't know the complete sheet name exactly, some 1 or 2 characters have been missed out, then what you can do is, instead of giving the sheet name, you can provide the sheet number. Okay, sheet number. Okay, so both can be done in either one. And remember, when you are providing sheet number, don't give sheet number in a double quote. Number should be always with a double quote. Or in case if you want to add a new sheet, say add. So that will add a new worksheet. Then since you need to deal with this particular sheet, then what you need to do is, what I'm doing here, I'm taking that whatever the sheet that I'm accessing, I'm taking that sheet into a variable here, O sheet. So whenever you want to work with the sheet 1 now, you can directly deal with O sheet. Okay, so that means we are taking the instance of that sheet 1 into O sheet. So whenever you want to deal with sheet 1, you can use O sheet there. Next, what we need to do now? See, by default it is a sheet 1, right? And if you want to change the name of the sheet, now I don't want it to be sheet 1, and what I need is, I want to change the name of that sheet to something else. Then we say O sheet dot name. Name is a property for the sheet. So this name property is used to retrieve the name of the sheet or to change the name of the sheet, both. Then what you can do here, OSheet.name equals to, I'll say test. That is a sheet name that I'm changing here. Okay, I'm accessing sheet 1 and I'm changing the sheet to test, sheet name to test. Or you can give any name there. It's not like only test, you can give any name, no problem. Next, I want to write the data into the sheet. So when you want to write the data, directly you cannot say OSheet.write. So you need to write the data into a particular sheet, sorry, particular cell of the sheet. Right? So all the data will be written or will be retrieved by using cells. You need to provide the cell address. Cell address is nothing but row number and column number. Depends on in which cell you need to write the data, then you must have to provide the row number and column number. Then you can say OSheet dot cells of 1, 1. That is meant by the first row, first column. Then So like this, you can write in any n number of sheets. Okay. You can write a lot of data there. You can, if you want, you can keep it in a loop, or you can directly paste the data from copying from one place to another place. So we'll see that copying and all little later, not now. Okay, so you need to write the data like this by using cells. And see here, yesterday I said that OSHI dot cells of 1 comma 1 dot value I told. But dot value is optional. When you don't give the dot value is a default method or default property given here. Okay, you can directly say OSHI dot cells of 1 comma 1, or you can also say OSHI dot cells of 1 comma 1 dot value. Both are same. Dot value is a default method. If you don't give anything there, if you just say cell of so and so, then by default it will take it as a dot value only. So whenever you want to write the data, you don't need to write dot value exactly, but that is optional for us here. Then once you write the data, what you should do next? You need to save that particular file. You don't save the sheet. Sheet and all will not be saved. What we save is exactly workbook. Always workbook will be saved, not the application. Only workbook will be saved always. Then you can say workbook dot save or save as. It should be saved as for now, okay, because save as accepts the path, whereas save doesn't accept the path. Do save as and give the path of the file, where this file has to be saved exactly. Let me get the path here. File dot excel sx. Once you save that, you must have to close it. Yesterday we saw the reason why what happens if you don't save it. I'm sorry, if you don't close that. Wait. So you can see, generally it executes little faster. It just creates like that. Then if you want to keep observing line by line, then you keep a wait period there. Okay, so WSP that sleep 2000 or 3000 to wait for 2 seconds or 3 seconds. Time will be given in milliseconds normally there. But so this is what we have learned till now. Okay, in the Excel. Okay, so next what I need is here, this file is already there. This file is already there. That's how we create a new file. Okay, so but file is already there for me, and I need to access the existing file, and then I need to write the data into existing file. Getting what I am saying here? I need to access the existing file. The file is already created, but I don't want to add a new workbook now. Then I need to access the existing workbook and then write the data into that. Then how do we do that? Again you say set OXL equals to create object Excel dot application OXL dot workbooks dot open. This time give the absolute path of the existing file. So I'm just talking into OWL. You can use the same variable name or you can use different variable name, no problem. Now in file system object, right, whenever we are opening a text file, we were defining the mode of the file, right, like open for write only, or open for read only, or appending mode, like that. But in Excel, we don't have such like that. Okay, you don't need to open the write-only mode or read-only mode or operating mode like that. So once you open that file like this, and then with the same instance, you can write the data or you can read the data. Both can be done. So you don't need to specify in read-only mode or you don't need to specify it as a write-only mode like that. So by default, it will open for both writing and reading purpose, and then you can do both with the same instance. You can do in the same script. You can read the data or you can write the data. Getting what I'm saying here? Okay. Now after that, what you do? Set OSheet equals to OWB dot worksheets of which sheet? In previous script we have created the sheet, we changed the name of the sheet to test type. Then you can access the sheet. Common it is. Okay, now in this Excel, whatever the Excel sheet that we have created here, okay, so there is some data already there, right? Okay, so where it is first row, first column, first row, second column. Now what I am doing is here in the new script, I'll say OSheet dot cells of 1 comma 1. I am giving 1 comma 1 again. Then I'll say something like this. I am writing some data. But there is some data already there in 1 comma 1, right? What happens now? It will overwrite the data in the cell. Okay? It will overwrite. So we will see that. Then this time also, once you write the data, you can do. You can save that workbook. This time it's not save as, it's a save only. The reason because we are opening the existing file and then we are doing some modification and save the same file. You don't need to give the path, save changes will be saved automatically. Once you save that, say overbook.close and oxl.quit. So it's executed and you can see all data has been overwritten. So next time whenever you execute, right, data will be overwritten in the cell every time. But what should I do here is, I don't want to overwrite the data. So what I need, okay, there might be one row already created. So if there is one row already created, what you have to do? You need to write the data in second row. If the one row is already there, write the data, new data in second row. If 2 rows are already there, then write the data in third row. If 3 rows are there, write the data in fourth row. Like this you need to do. Right? So in such cases, what exactly we need to do, how we need to do that? First we need to understand how many rows are already created, right? And then you can say here cells existing row count plus 1, so that we will go to the next row. So the question is now, how can we understand how many rows have been already used in the Excel? Is it 1 row, 2 rows or 3 rows like that? Right? Then how do we do that? So OSheet, in this sheet only we need to get right. There is something called user range, we call it that. User range nothing but it's a range object, which range whatever the content used, row numbers including the row numbers and column numbers, whatever the range has been used, it will connect it to the range. Depends on how much data is placed, starting from first cell to the last cell which has been used where the data contains. In between there could be some empty cells or empty row, no problem. But starting to the last cell, it will take the entire range when you say dot user range. User range means the range which is used in the sheet. Then in this range, what I have to do? I need to get the row counter. First get the range and then get the counter. So rows dot count. Rows dot count method is used to use range dot rows dot counter. Total number of rows used in a sheet. Okay. So that sheet dot use range dot rows dot counter. Message box total rows. Total one row is used. Now open it. What happened? That has come to second row now. Total. So this is how normally we work. First what you need to do whenever you are writing the data, instead of overwriting in the existing cell, first understand how many rows have been used and then write the data accordingly. Next. No, it will not override directly the Excel file. It will give the message. I'll come to that now. So the same step. The file is already there. I will execute this. Create a new Excel file. Right? This file is already there. It will give that. The file is already there. Do you want to overwrite it? It will ask for the confirmation. If you say no, then it will not. But you can disable that and you can save automatically. You can disable that. So the pop-ups and all, you can make it as disabled. You can make it as false, so that without opening the pop-up, it will save. I will come back to that slowly. Okay. Next. Right? Similarly, what I need is here. Okay. So I am able to place the data in next row, right? Next row. So the data should be coming like this now. First, I will delete this. Complete data. I will delete for now. First, data should be like this. Next time when I run, data should be like this. Then next time when I run, data should be like this. So data should be keep placing like this. That means in the next row, next column that it has to place on this. The data should be coming like this. Then how do we do that now? If the data is like this, current row plus 1, current column plus 1. Current row plus 1 here, column plus 1 here. So you have to understand like that, or you have to write in this way. How do we do that? One. To understand the total number of rows, OSheet dot user range dot rows dot count, right? A columns equals to O sheet dot user range dot columns dot count. To retrieve total number of columns, you say user range dot columns dot count. That's it. By default it is taking one row. By default it is taking one row, one column. So it's coming here. By default it will take it as one. Okay, one row has been used. Then next time when I run, one of the drawback here is, I'll tell you. One of the drawback is when you are using user range, right? First cell must be used. Then only it will take the user range. Okay. So if you are not used the first cell, right, then a user range will not work. That's one of the drawback here. Now it should say 2 rows, 2 columns. Data has come here. Now next it will say 3 rows, 3 columns have been used, and data will come in 4, 4. 4th row, 4th column. So next time when I run, it will take 4 rows, 4 columns, and then data will be updated in 5th row, 5th column. But one of the limitation here is first cell must be used, then only user range will retrieve the complete range. If the first cell is blank, right, then user range will not work here properly. Okay, so that's how we can understand how many rows have been used and how many columns have been used. Okay, so now this is a question for you. Some data is already there here. O dot cells of 1, 1 equals to some value I am placing here. What happens now? It will overwrite the data in the first cell. But I don't want that. But we don't have. I don't want to overwrite. I want to append this data to existing data. You don't have any method to append the data to existing data. By default, it will overwrite. But we have to use other technique. Getting what I am saying here? So I don't want to overwrite the data in that particular cell. What I should do instead? I have to append the data. Existing data in that cell must be there, and the new data should be appended to the existing data. How do we do that? Anyone? Just tell the logic. We don't have any method for that, but a simple logic can do the job. So, but another way you have to tell. What you told is right. So do one thing. What you have to do exactly. First you read the data from that cell. Take that into a variable. Now that existing data, whatever you have got into the variable, that variable ampersand new value. So new value you are appending. Then you overwrite the cell. So when you write the cell now, that variable or whatever you have updated, then the existing data is there and new data also appended to that. Right? So now, how do you do that? The question is now first, how do we read the data from existing cell? Str text, some variable name you can say, equals to OSHI dot cells of 1 comma 1. Same method. How you are writing the data into a cell, in the same way you can read it. Same, okay, you can say dot value or without dot value also. Cells of 1 comma 1 dot value you can say. Or you can say without value, dot value also. By default it's dot value method only. Now this dot value is used to write the data into the cell or read the data from a cell. But where you write that method is important. Right side, when you use the value method at the right side, that means right side of equal to, then you are reading the data. Left side must be a variable. Whereas if you are using this method at left side of equal to, on the right side value or variable you are giving, then you are writing the data into that. So depends on where you are using, then you are writing or reading the data will be set exactly. Okay, next, str new value equals to str text ampersand some value, whatever the value that you want to pass. Or instead of just appending, you can also say vpcrlf. That means so two lines you are writing that str new value. That's it. So actually I am overwriting. But before I overwrite, I am taking the existing data and then I am appending new data to existing data and then overwrite. So existing data is there and new data also has come there. So that's how you read the data from a cell. Same method, you don't need to do any changes. Is just as sheet dot cells of so and so address that you need to specify, depends on which cell that you need to write. Read. Like if you want to read from first cell, give 1 comma 1. Then first row second column 1 comma 2. You must have to specify both row number and column number. First one is always row, second one is always a column number. Mandatory. Okay. So same way how you are writing the data, same method can be used for reading the data as well. Getting what I am saying here? Next, now let's go into some reality now. How exactly we use the Excels? Clear, right? How we can read, how we can write the data. Same method, just access a particular cell and then you read the data from that cell or you write the data into the cell. Okay. So what we will do now is, I am deleting this or let it be. No. Rename also test data file. This is a test data file. Now how normally we store the data in the Excel files? Say like this: URL, username, password. All these are the fields that I have here in the application. Also last name, and then I'll say uh, emp id, then I will say location, I will say status. That's how it has to be. Then you can also add the stylings, no problem, to make it as more visible. Next, when I say here HTTP, lot of URLs are there. So enterprise.demo.orangehrmlive.com. Then username, I'll say admin, password I will say admin, and then first name test, last name emp, and then that's employee ID, location I'll say Indian Development Center. Okay, then you can say status enable. Then similarly I have one more, http professional.demo.orangehrmlive.com. Then I have admin, okay, test1 employee, and then 1 2 3 2, something like this. Then exhaust xt, then enable. Also I have something, another URL like http open source dot demo dot orangehrmlive.com. Then I have admin, let's see, it is something like this, 1 2 3 3, and then Canadian Development Center, like this. Normally this is how we store the data. Like, okay, depends on how many rows that we need to execute, and all the data will be stored in the Excel. Okay, so assume that set as data file that we have created, and then I need to write the script. I need to read the data one by one column here, and then I need to pass to the application. Getting what I'm saying here? Okay, so how do we do that? This is the file, and sheet name is, I will say, test data is the name of the sheet. First I need to read the URL. I need to read the URL. Then you can say osheet.cells off. But now sometimes what happens is, I may need to execute the data from I may need to execute the script from first data set to last data set. How many data sets that we have created here? Total 3 data sets have been created, right? So I need to execute my script for all the data sets that whatever I have. All 3 combinations I need to execute. Or sometimes I may need to execute only 1 data set or 2 data sets like that. Okay, but now assume that I want to use for all the data sets, 3 data sets. Okay, I want to execute my script for all 3 data sets that whatever I have stored. So how can we do that? First understand, not only 3, there could be more also. You may create, user may give more data sets, and then you can execute for all. So you can say total rows equals to O Excel dot user range dot rows dot count. For I equals to 2 to, you know why I am using 2 here? First row for column headers. Okay, that's not a data, it's just column headers. Not OXL, it should be OSheet. The OSheet dot cells of I comma row number will be passed to I. When I say I comma 1 dot value, what it will be? str URL equals to this is what str URL. What you know what I am doing here? I am just understanding how many rows are there in Excel and reading URL from each and every row whatever I have here. Then once you read that, you close the workflow. You don't need to use save there because you are not updating the Excel, right? You are just reading it. OXL dot to Excel. First one, enterprise dot demo dot orange HRM. Second one is professional dot demo dot orange HRM. Third one is open source dot orange HRM. So all three rows it is reading, but internally we will write some script here. After reading the URL and all, we will write the script, launching the browser and logging in and all, we will be writing. But not now, immediately. So later what we are going to write. Next time. Now, say row number is being increased, fine. But column number, how did we use? How did we give that column number? Directly 1. Why we have given 1 there? Because what we need to retrieve? URL. So URL is there in the first column, so that we have given as 1 there. Later, what happened is, what happened now? Now, which one it will read when I say 1 here? Instead of reading URL, it will read serial number. So, wrong input will be passed, right? So, that's the reason you should never hardcode the column numbers, because column numbers also will be very dynamic. It's not just today, URL is the first column, so that I have given as 1 whenever I want to read the URL. But it's not only the it's not the first column always. It's not the first column always. So it should be the sometimes it could be a second column, third column, or like that. Right? So what should I do here? If I getting what I'm saying here, so column number will be very dynamic always. But if you directly hardcode the column number there, this is what it happens. If you run that script now, instead of retrieving a column number, it will retrieve the serial number. So if I pass this value to launch browser or launch application function, then it will take a wrong input here. Instead of passing the URL, it will pass the serial number. What should I do? Again, I have to come to my script and then update to the column number. Again, if somebody changes, again I need to come to the script and then do the change. But that's not a right way to do that. Actually, even though the column numbers have been changed, still my script should adapt to the changes automatically. So that's why we have to write the scripts. Maintenance should be very less there. How do we do that? Column name. What's your logic? Yours.
Total column is equal to oversheeter using column chart, using the column from the column. After that, we call the
Wait. Come back again.
total column is equal to oversheeter using the column chart, column. After that, we call oversheeter plus I column, total column plus 1.
What are you doing there? What are you doing? What we need now? What's requirement? What is requirement now? What is requirement and what your script is? Understand the requirement first. Column number, I need to read the data. Okay. And I know the column name. I need to read the column from URL. Okay. So data from URL column. But I don't know the column number for it. Or that is keep changing. Now I know, but tomorrow there are chances that it may change. So my script doesn't know where that URL column. So that's the reason I'm giving the column number instead of giving the name. So for cells, it must be number only. You cannot give the column name. Okay, you cannot directly say cells of 1 comma URL. You cannot do that. You must have to provide the row number and column number. But unfortunately, that column number is changing. Row number, if it is changing, okay, we'll come back to that also. This is working for all 3 rows, but sometimes you need to work for specific row only. Okay, I'll come back to that again. But now column numbers are keep changing for me. Earlier the URL was there in first column, so that I had given us 1. But now the URL is changed to second column, or it may change to third column also tomorrow, or it may come back to first again. We don't know. It's changing. Then how do we do that? How? Okay. Okay. Not a str URL. Till here it is right. Why total columns plus 1? Just have to get the column number based on the name. That's it. Yeah. Right, exactly. So what you do is loop through first column to last column. Loop through first column to last column and get one by one column header. So assumption is column header will be there in the first row always. Right? Column headers will be there in the first row always. So you can say for I equals to 1 to total columns. Then if 5 columns are there, it will be 1 to 5. Then inside that we say OSHI dot cells of 1 comma I dot value. What it will do now? It will say 1 comma 1 or 1 comma 2, 1 comma 3, 1 comma 4, 1 comma 5. It will be keep increasing. So first time it will retrieve first row, first column. Nothing but first column it is. In the first row. So column header of first column. Then compare that with the expected column. If that is equal to URL, take the I value. Okay, if not the first column is URL, go to the second column. Compare that again. Go to the third column, compare that. Go to the fourth column, compare that. Wherever it is matching, take that I value. I value represents the column number here. In case if no column is matching, then give a message box saying that given column is not exist. That's what you need to do. So till here getting the total columns is fine, total number of columns. Looping also fine. But you said str URL equals to. But I don't know the column names, column numbers still. How can you get the URL? The logic itself we are writing to get the column number, right? Not to get the data. Then why are we using total columns? That's what, right? We don't know. So that's why we are looping from first column to last column and such. Right? Now assume, okay, so Bhaskar is here. Assume that the first row is for column headers, first row, and all is remaining data. But I need to retrieve the data under the column where the Bhaskar stands here, first row. Right? Bhaskar is there in the first row. So what should we do now? We don't know the position of Bhaskar where exactly. What we do? First, okay, we will get how many columns are there here. Then we will get, okay, we get the person in the first column, first row, first column. Then see whether the name of that person is Bhaskar or not. If not, go to the second column, compare that. If he is Bhaskar, take this number and then give the row number from which row that we need to get the data. Take that column number and then give the row number again. Okay, if not in the second column, go to the third column and get the name. Then if not Bhaskar, go to the fourth column. Okay, if he is a Bhaskar, then take that number and then give the row number. In this column and in this row, you need to get the data. But why are we using total columns plus 1 here again? So if you want to create in the next column and all, then you can say total columns plus 1. But I don't want to create any column here. I am not creating any column, right? With the existing columns only we are dealing with. Right? So what you have to do now? How to get that? Total columns equals to OSheet dot user range dot columns dot count. So that will retrieve total number of columns in the Excel sheet, whatever the sheet that we have given here. Then don't use I only for all the loops. Generally change the variable names. I'll say just CNUM equal to 1 to total columns. Then str column header equals to OSheet dot cells of 1 comma CNUM. So I am giving the row number as 1 only here. The reason because column headers will be there in the first row by default. Dot value. If str column header equals to URL, then column number equals to C number. Then okay, if any column is found with URL, I don't need to move to the next column, right? Then what you do here? Say exit for. You know what is meant by exit for? To come out of the for loop. So maximum it will execute till here. But in case if my expected column is found in between only, then okay, I don't need to move to the next column again as soon as I get that. Then this. Now what happens in case if the URL is not there? The column itself not there. Sometimes that is also a possibility. You have given a column name, but that column might not be existing in the Excel. How do we do that? So my report will be like this. In case if the column is found, then okay, retrieve that column number. In case if the column is not there, not found, then it has to give me a message box saying that okay, no column found with the given name. How do we do that? This logic will work, whatever the logic that I have written here, this logic will work when the column is found. But now the question is back to you. I want to give a message box. In case if the column is there, return the number. In case if the column is not there, give a message box saying that given column is not there. Okay. Where? Here? Okay. Here. Okay. Is that right? How that logic works now? Just see, try to execute that now. Fine. In case it is found only, it will give exit for. But if that column is not there, exit for will not be executed, right? But how that logic works? When that message box will be displayed? Every time, right? For every column. So what it will do? First, it will compare first column. If first column is not URL, come to the else message box saying that column not found. Again, it will go to the second column. If the second column is not URL, then again message box, column not found. Is that right? Should not be. What you have to do? After all the columns are completed, still it is not found, then it has to display. That means after the loop it has to display. Right? Not inside the loop it should be. After all the columns still not found, then it has to display. So not in the else here. So what you should do? But how can you say that column it will come out of the loop after using exit statement, or it will come out of the loop after completing all the iterations. But how do you understand when it has come out of? After finding the column or without finding the column? How did it come out? You need to understand that. So that's where we use something called flag variables in the logics. Flag variables are, I'll say VLN column found equals to the default value of that variable I will give as false. Then as soon as the column is found, I will change the variable value to true. Now when that variable value will be changed to true, only when the column is found, variable value will be updated with true. If that column is not found, then the variable value remain false only. So now after the loop, if this variable is false, then you say message box column not found. That time you have to do. Then I cannot continue with the remaining piece of code in case if the column is not found. Then what you do is you close the workbook whatever you have opened and then stop the execution. To stop the VB script, you can say wscript.quit. Wscript.quit in a sense stop the VB script execution. Okay, so that's a logic that you need to write. Always remember that whenever you are writing the programs or when you are an automation tester, you have two things always in your mind. Okay, if happens, what should be the flow? If doesn't happen, always you have to think about negative as well. If this happens, okay, this is the flow which has to be executed. But what in case if that doesn't happen? Unnecessarily we will be getting the error. But instead of getting an error, display the appropriate message saying that okay, the script cannot be executed here because of some reason. Please fix that reason so that you can re-execute again. So always you have to do such kind of appropriate messages. So in case the previous logic works when the given column is found. Okay. But what in case if the given column is not found? You have to get that question immediately, always. Okay. So then whenever you get the question, then you will implement the logic. So your script will work in a positive condition and negative condition. But negative condition, it's not like it works. But instead of throwing an error, it displays the appropriate message. That's called error handling. Okay. Normally we do. Getting what I'm saying here? Now how that logic works exactly? First, it will search for the column by looping through first column to last column. Then in case if the column exists, it will get the column number. After completing all the columns, but still column number, sorry, if the column is not found, then it will display the message box saying that no column found with the given name. And why I am closing that workbook, I can directly write wscript.quit. But if I quit from wscript, that means vbscript process is nothing but wscript actually here. If I directly come out of the execution, then that workbook and Excel remain in open state. I will not be open it manually again. Again, I need to go to processes and then I need to kill the process. That's what we have seen yesterday. So that's the reason before I stop the execution, close that workbook and close the Excel. So that manually I can open and then I can do the modification. Okay. So now what I will do here, whatever the column number I am retrieving here, I am passing that column number to the data. Now let's see whether it will work or not. Retrieving the URL. Then I will change this Excel file. Now column number is changed. Still it is retrieving. Even though the column number is changed now, still it is retrieving from same column. Then in case if the given column is not found, this column is not there. It says that column not found. Then it will stop the execution. Right? And if you don't use exit statement here, if you just directly say message box, then column number will not be updated, right? Empty value will be passed there. So that's a wrong input again from that. So if the column is not found, what you have to do? You have to stop that execution, because if the column is not found, this will not work anywhere, because column number will not be updated there. So instead of coming here, you stop directly here itself after displaying the message. That's how you read the data. Okay, but still we have to understand many things there. Okay, but we'll stop here today, and then tomorrow we will discuss some more things. Okay, that's how normally we parameterize in the real life. We store the data in Excel like that, and then we read the data from Excel. And this is the importance of Excel, to parameterize all the test data. So tomorrow we will see some more things there.